Teresa, and I am the business analyst here at DLI, working on the Work Comp Modernization Program, Work Comp Campus. So today, our focus is going to be EDI. We'll run this the same as we run all of our other answer hours, where I just have everybody muted. I do have this recording, and then I'll just kind of keep monitoring the chat for any questions as we go along. With that, we will go ahead and get started. So here's just a really short agenda, what we're going to do today. I'm going to talk through just the release that we put out last week, and I'll be monitoring for Q&A throughout. And then just if you all can kind of have in the back of your mind what we've been asking with a lot of these answer hour sessions recently is just whether or not we need to change the cadence or the duration of these answer hours. So if you all can kind of just keep that in mind as we go through the answer hour, and then put some feedback in the chat as you see fit. That would be extremely helpful. So as I mentioned, we did have our EDI release last Thursday, and that went through a lot of the defects that we were seeing related to EDI. I know I recapped that a little bit in our last answer hour, but I just kind of want to touch base on that. I'll go ahead and I'll put this in the chat if anybody wants to look a little bit more in depth. But a lot of what we did was sequencing. We did a few things with fiends and duplicate EDI transactions within the same batch. A really big one, I know for this group, was 500 benefit handling. We had an issue where we were requiring the maintenance type code. And then also granting access to the adjusters by matching on-claim adjuster email address in those EDI transactions. So you can submit, you can either have this take effect on the next EDI transaction, whatever that may be. You can also send an O2 on that, or an NT with that information, and we will update it as well. And then the other one that was a really big one that I just wanted to touch on was the NT and Troy O2 benefit sequencing. We were running into some issues if benefits were not reported on either of those transactions and then reported on the next transaction. So that is all resolved. We did also make some error message updates. One other thing that I wanted to point out, if you are still seeing any issues or if you have questions about your EDI filings, please go ahead and reach out to the EDI help desk, this dli.edistate.mn.us. Go ahead and put that in the chat. And then I will also put the link to our EDI release information in the chat. So I'm not seeing any particular questions about the release. So with that, I'll just go ahead and I'll hop back into the deck. So a few of the outstanding issues that we are seeing, some folks receive their EDI forms via a zip file. I know we're having an issue with some of those zip files. So if that's something that you're experiencing, or if you're a vendor and your clients are experiencing that, please just let us know. If you could send an email to the help desk and the EDI team, that would be great. And we are still seeing some errors for multiple maintenance type codes sent for the same claim in a singular batch. So that is something that both of these, we are looking to resolve with our release this week. And I do see, Tanya, your question, when will the updated information be published? I will follow up with the compliance department. I believe that they're the ones that are working on that, but we should be able to get that information out shortly. I will follow up with them on timing for that. So just kind of moving right along into the Campus Central page. I know we talk about this every time, but this is kind of our location where we publish our release notes, where we put all of our information that maybe is sent out to you all via GovDelivery. You can always find that on this particular web page. One other thing that I did just want to touch on that's a little bit different from the last time we met, we did send out surveys to all of our GovDelivery lists. So it's just a very simple, short survey asking about campus functionality and some of the potential fixes that we would like to put in or new functionality that we'd like to add. So if you have a couple minutes, we would greatly appreciate your participation with that. Kind of just gives us an idea of what you all think would be valuable to add into the system so that we can prioritize it correctly on our end and hopefully get some requirements drafted and some development in place for those sooner rather than later. And then finally, the only thing that I had in addition to this slide is our question slide, and then just feedback on scheduling further answer hours. So I don't see any other questions in the chat right now, but if there are any questions, please feel free to put those in the chat. Do you anticipate having a deadline for MTC UR reporting? No. Right now, there is not a plan to put a deadline in place for URs. If for some reason there would be a deadline in the future, we would absolutely communicate that out in advance. I have a question here. It was just brought to my attention that an SX filed in December 2020 never generated a form. Was there a bug fix addressing SX not generating forms in campus that were missed? So in that instance, if you could just send us the jurisdiction claim number for that, it's possible that the required information just wasn't entered into that submission. So if it didn't have return to work dates with an actual return to work type code specified and that S1 reason for the suspension, it would not have generated a form. In those instances, we would expect that discontinuance web form. So I would definitely take a look at that. And just kind of a good reminder for those of you who are using those forms or working off those forms or think that you may be missing one, just double check and make sure that that data is present. Next question. When submitting EDI filings, do you have to wait for the prior submission to be accepted before filing the next one? That was my understanding. Example, IP filed and need to file an SX. Some users have told me that they were previously able to send both at the same time and not wait for the first to be accepted. So in that instance, it is going to kind of depend on the order that you send those. If you put both of those in one batch and they're valid, typically they would be fine. We do have that fix that's going in Thursday to allow that. However, if for some reason your IP failed and your SX was valid, it would fail for sequencing. So I don't know that I would recommend doing that, but it is, there's not a limitation in our system for you to do that. We continue to have issues getting 4URs accepted, even though we have the JC and the WID. We've sent emails to EDI with no response. Becky, I will follow up on that. It likely in that instance is either a date of injury or a claim admin claim number mismatch. So we can take a look at that. If you could just send another email and copy myself to that, if you don't mind, that would be helpful. Would an O2 to update or fix the information on an SX generate a form? If not, how should we alert the employer or lawyer of that update? So it would not generate a new form, and the reason for that is because when you send that O2 change, it does not specifically map back to a maintenance type code. When you send that, it's just updating the claim information. It's not specifically updating your SX transaction. In those instances, what you can do is you can just document those changes on your own and in whatever document format works for you all. And you can send a copy of that to the employee and their attorney, just letting them know that you updated those fields. They would also see that updated information in Campus if they looked at the claim details page. It would reflect most recently accepted data. If all state forms are filed on a claim pre-Campus, does the claim need to be filed in Campus so that an MMI can be uploaded and the FN sent? So in that instance, if all of your forms were filed, you wouldn't have a legal reason to update us with that information. But if you do want to upload that MMI, you would need to do at least your SROI or your FROI update report. And if you wanted to do a final, you would also need to do your SROI update report and then your FN. But as far as sequencing, you would not need to upload anything else, or not upload, submit any other EDI transactions on something like that if you've already suspended all your benefits and there's no ongoing litigation or rehabilitation. We have been filing SROI CBs for the change of benefits, but our file handlers are asking why the CB did not generate the NOID or the NOBP forms to be automated and sent back through as the XML files. So Lonnie, that was something that we talked about a little bit earlier in the deck. There are some issues right now if you do get those files back via XML. So if you get those documents back, we are having some issues with those generating. So if you are seeing that, send an email to the help desk. Let us know the dates that you're missing those for, and copy the EDI team, and we can take a look at that. That is something that will be fixed in our Thursday evening release. Regarding submitting multiple transactions in one batch, users are seeing error messages and now indicating the MTC/claim admin claim number cannot be duplicated per the batch. Yep, so that was something that I mentioned earlier as well. We are seeing an error on that, but that should be resolved with our Thursday evening release as well. Let's see. Do I understand correctly that MMI does not need to be sent to DLI, only to the employee? That was not my intention with the answer to the previous question. My answer to the previous question was specifically regarding maintenance type codes. So you wouldn't need to send any new maintenance type codes, but if you want to access that file, you may want to file your FROI and SROI UR so that you can upload that document. And if you would like to submit the final or the FN, you would have to do your FROI and SROI UR in advance for those files if it was one that was filed pre-campus. If we are trying to notify the state that there is no payable lost time, even though the employee has not returned to work but is now working from home, we tried to use the PD, but with no actual lost time, it doesn't seem to work. How would we report this? So if there's no lost time, you shouldn't need to report it to the state. It sounds like in this instance that even if the employee hasn't returned to the location, they have returned to work activities. So I think, Meredith, it might be helpful if you send a specific email to the EDI team just so they can take a look at that, so we can help kind of troubleshoot that situation. And then Becky, I see your question about FNs required on claims opening campus. So I think I have John and Melissa on the line. Either one of you from compliance, would you mind handling the question regarding the FNs and whether those should be required?
Hey, Angie, this is John. If they're asking if an FN would close the status in campus, that's not the case, but it does start sort of the process of showing that status is being closed, but they're not directly related. But we do appreciate FNs to tell us that on your end, the claim is basically closed. So yes, thank you.
Great. So just to clarify, they would not need to send an FN on an open filing campus. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think what the question is people see the status in campus as being open or essentially not closed, one of the other reasons. And the hope was that the FN, once it's received, it closes the claim, but it does not close the claim status that you see in campus. But the FN does help start the process to close the claim in campus. If you're talking about your side of things, if you think the claim is closed for our purposes, then yeah, we appreciate the FN. It tells us that you're closed, and it's good to know.
Yep, and can you guys hear me? This is Melissa.
Yep.
I was just going to add in, John's absolutely right, especially with how it's not a quick correlation to our claim status that you guys are seeing, but in Minnesota Statutes 176231, it does explain that the FN is needs to be filed within 180 days after you guys have ceased payment of indemnity or rehab benefits, if no litigation is pending. So there is that requirement to be aware of. If you have a claim where those don't apply, that maybe there wasn't indemnity or rehab that was paid, you are still able to file the FN, but it's not required. But take a look at 176231. I think it was subdivision 6. I'm trying to look it up quick, but for some more information on that as well.
Great, thank you so much, Melissa. And you said it was 176231?
Sorry, 176, yep, 231 and subdivision 6, I'm pretty sure. Just trying to get my screen to load.
Yeah, I'll just put the 176231 in there so that people can look that up if they'd like. But that's very helpful. Thank you both. Any other questions? And if no other questions, if we could possibly just get some feedback on the frequency of these meetings, if it would be something that you'd like us to continue offering, or something that you think we can maybe space out a little bit more, or handle in the insurer answer hours. That would be very helpful. And not seeing anything else in the chat, I will go ahead and end us a little bit early. Is there a place where training can go to process the 3 times year rate adjustment? And Tracy, I apologize. I'm having a little trouble understanding that question. I'm not sure if you are asking for training on rate adjustments for sure. We do have rate information, I believe, on our website, on the DLI website, that would explain those adjustments, but I just need a little bit more clarification. And I see that we've got a little bit of feedback to continue holding specific EDI answer hours, so we will look into scheduling more of these in the future. And just to answer the question really quickly, regarding training, so if you are looking for training or resources, what I would recommend is to go ahead and take a look at the DLI website and then look at work comps for insurers. This has some additional information. It has the rates, the state average weekly wage information, fee schedules, EDI information, training for insurers, so all kinds of information if you're looking for that specific information about rate increases or when those occur. Having issues with 4 URs accepting with the WID on file, often it TRs and there are extra zeros thrown in the WID that weren't there upon submission. So in that instance, it may be that there's a mismatch with the date of birth or the social security number, or there are too many leading zeros in the WID. You should be able to just submit the WID with whatever digits you have. But if you can send us just some instances of that, if you can send that to the EDI email box, we can take a look and see if we can troubleshoot why that's rejecting in your instance. All right. With that, I'm going to go ahead and I'll end this a little bit early to give you guys about 10 minutes back today. If there are any questions, additionally, please just let us know. And we will look forward to speaking with you all in the future. We'll figure out kind of a cadence for getting these answer hours scheduled ongoing. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.